Again, good afternoon. My name is Bob Bruder, and I have the privilege of being the president of the College of DuPage. And it's my delight to welcome you to our institution and to this very special occasion, the dedication of our Homeland Security Education Center. Believe it or not, this is my 31st year as a president. I'm really only 52 years old. I started early. But in those 31 years, I've had the opportunity to be involved in some 2 million square feet of building construction or renovation. And in my entire history, I don't think I've ever had the opportunity to be involved in a project like this. I can't think of a building that I've ever been associated with that means more to the community than this Homeland Security Education Center, given its purpose, and its purpose being to train first responders who are people in, as you know, the police, the fire, emergency medical technician, men and women who are devoting their life to service to ensure that you and I are safe in our homes and safe at work. And so while we rest and we go about our daily activity, they're there on our behalf to make sure that we enjoy the quality of life that's reflective of this community and our country in general. Last Friday, I had the opportunity to be involved in SLEA graduation. That's the Suburban Law Enforcement Education Academy. And we had the largest class of graduates that I've seen in the 3 years that I've been president. Some 46 men and women are now officially police officers serving either on college campuses or municipalities or for the Park District or state police and the like. And 201, when they came up on stage to receive their credential, they expressed to me their appreciation for the opportunity to be in this building. And when you question on occasion whether all the work is worth it, that's when it becomes worth it, because you know these are the men and women who are going out front line on our behalf to, again, protect and defend us and to make sure that we have the kind of life that we've come to expect here in DuPage County. This facility, even before it opened, has garnered tremendous support and interest from both the federal government and state government and obviously local government. We've had several delegations from foreign countries visit us already, including Lebanon, and next week officials from the Republic of Georgia will also be coming here to see what it is that we do in the area of Homeland Security. They're as concerned about as we are in terms of man-made and natural disasters and how they're going to relate to it and to ensure that the people who live in their countries are equally protected. We have with us today many important people. Hell, you're all important. But there are especially a group of people here that I would like you to recognize, and if they're already here, I would ask them to stand and to be recognized in totality. Congressman Joe Walsh, State Senator Kirk Dillard, State Senator Linda Holmes, State Senator Thomas Johnson, State Senator John Milner, and the following are all state representatives: Patty Bellock, Michael Connolly, Jim Durkin, Sandy Pijos, and Darlene Sanger. Those who are not here are in transit, no doubt. And then our special guest today, the newly appointed chairman of the board of the Illinois Community College Board, Alexi Giannoulias. With that, I would like to ask John Milner to come forward and to present the colors, and then Wayne Mesmer, who will come and sing the national anthem.
Thank you. Will everybody please stand? And will you now present the colors? Wayne Mesmer will now sing the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Wayne. Please be seated. It's now my pleasure to present to you the chairman of the board of the College of DuPage, David Carlin. David?
Hello and welcome to the new College of DuPage. It's my privilege to introduce members of the College of DuPage Board of Trustees that are here with us today. If you want to just stand as I say your name. Vice Chairman Aaron Burt, Secretary Allison O'Donnell, who has a little someone in her arms with her, Trustees Diane McGuire, Trustee Kim Savage, Trustee Nancy Svoboda, and Joe Wozniak, and also Student Trustee Lydia Witten. In addition to the current trustees that are here with us this evening, we have former trustees, Chairman Michael McKinnon, and also Chairman Kathy Wessel, who's with us tonight, and Trustee Corey Atkinson, Trustee Mary Mack, and Trustee Mark Novak. So thank you everyone for being here, former trustees and current. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I'd like to thank Dr. Bruder for his leadership in implementing the college's facilities master plan. The college is the community's college. Dr. Bruder has demonstrated his ability to listen to what the community and its employers want. Under his leadership and with his team, their collective vision is now a reality in this state-of-the-art facility that we're sitting in, which addresses both the current and future needs of first responders here in the community. It's my privilege now to introduce the newly appointed chairman of the Illinois Community College Board, Alexi Giannoulias. Alexi Giannoulias is the former state treasurer of Illinois, serving from 2007 to 2011. Giannoulias is currently an adjunct professor at Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois. He was born in Chicago to a family of Greek immigrants. He graduated cum laude from Boston University with a bachelor's degree in economics after transferring from the University of Chicago. At BU, he played Division I basketball and was named to the American East Conference Academic Honor Roll both years that he played. After his undergraduate degree, Giannoulias played professional basketball for Pinoyas, BC in Europe, after which he enrolled at Tulane University's School of Law in New Orleans. After earning his law degree and passing the Illinois bar exam, Giannoulias took a position as vice president and senior loan officer at Broadway Bank, a community bank owned by his family. Giannoulias is a member of the Economic Club of Chicago, the Illinois Education Foundation, the Chicago Children's Advocacy Center, Leadership 100, and in 2007 was named one of Crane's 40 under 40. Mr. Giannoulias was named chairman of the board of the Illinois Community College Board in August of this year. Chairman?
Well, good afternoon. The good news is my speech is going to be shorter than my introduction, but thank you, Chairman, for all your terrific work. Thank you, Dr. Bruder, for everything that you've done. I'm honored and thrilled and humbled to be here at College of DuPage, not only one of the finest schools in the state, but one of the finest schools in this country. And I am deeply honored to be the chairman of the Illinois Community College Board. When we talk about educating the next generation and creating the next generation of jobs, it's all going to come down to our community colleges. I believe that in my heart, and that's why I'm so proud to be here at College of DuPage, which has been a role model for the other 47 community colleges throughout the state of Illinois. I also want to acknowledge a lot of my friends that are here, two of the finest state senators in the country, Senator Milner, and of course, another one of my great friends I should also point out, Representative Mike Conley, who's my basketball coach. He's a lot older than I am. He won't admit it. And of course, Senator Dillard, who's been a terrific leader in Springfield. Governor Quinn sends his congratulations on the opening of the new Homeland Security Center. He regrets that he's unable to be here today. And we also know that our president has charged community colleges to serve as the vanguard of America's future job training and job creation. With more than 30,000 students and an incredible $383 million construction effort, surpassing most four-year colleges and universities, certainly we are seeing College of DuPage meet this challenge and exceed this challenge. Dr. Bruder, you and the COD Board of Trustees are to be commended and applauded for your foresight by addressing an essential gap in the nation's preparedness through the construction of this incredible state-of-the-art training and educational facility. We had a chance to walk around earlier, and this place is truly remarkable. A critical lesson learned from the 9/11 attack is that our local, regional, and federal emergency agencies must be able to work together. It is facilities like the Homeland Security Education Center right here at College of DuPage that will allow for true interagency training to occur. In addition, this unique facility will spur economic development and job growth by preparing individuals to meet the workforce needs of government agencies and private corporations. COD has a proven track record in training and educating first responders. It is home to the Suburban Law Enforcement Academy, which has graduated more than 2,100 police officers. More than 11,000 police officers, prosecutors, and other officers representing over 1,000 agencies have attended COD's continuing education program. The college also offers a certificate in Homeland Security, EMT training, a fire science degree, and a degree in criminal justice. College of DuPage annually prepares hundreds of firefighters, EMT, and paramedics. COD is associated with more than 1,200 emergency response departments and agencies in Illinois and surrounding areas. In addition, COD recently made it possible for students to complete their four-year degrees more easily by partnering with other four-year institutions. This is a symbol of what we should be doing across the country. COD and Luce University have developed a creative 3+1 agreement that will allow students to complete their bachelor's in criminal justice without having to leave the COD campus. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with all of you today, and as I mentioned earlier, if you have a chance to walk around and see this incredible facility, it really is remarkable. So once again, I want to thank the board, I want to thank the leadership, and all the people who worked hard to make this facility possible. You are the role model, you are the benchmark for all community colleges and four-year universities across the United States. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Chairman Giannoulias. This time I'd like to introduce Congressman Joe Walsh. Congressman Walsh has dedicated his professional life to service and advocacy. He has advocated on behalf of a wide range of public policy issues and causes, most notably advancing market solutions to education reform and urban poverty. He has a BA in English from the University of Iowa and a master's degree in public policy from the University of Chicago. He has taught American government and American history at the community college level for a number of years, including at Oakton Community College. He's a lifelong advocate for limited government and a vibrant private sector, and amongst his committee assignments, he's on the U.S. House Homeland Security Committee. Congressman Walsh.
Thank you, David. Let me begin, and I'll be brief as well, but let me begin by being as non-congressional as I can be. Wow. Oh my God, is this incredible. David, thank you. Dr. Bruder, thank you. You should feel very, very proud. As a member of the Homeland Security Committee, I'd like to address my remarks to the most important people in this place. All the police chiefs, the fire chiefs, all the other first responders here today who put their lives on the line to keep us safe. Many in the crowd today not only serve in their own roles as responders, but also serve a very important role in defending our nation from terrorist threats and in responding to natural and man-made disasters. As first responders, you are the critical link in our nation's security and preparedness. You are often the first to identify a potential threat and the first to notice trends. In a way, you are first preventers as well as first responders. And we have a responsibility to get you all the tools and training you need to do your job. That's why I'm honored to be here today as a member of Homeland Security to recognize this incredible endeavor. The Homeland Security Center here at the College of DuPage will provide much needed training that has been missing here in Illinois and throughout the Midwest. This new facility, with its state-of-the-art equipment, usually reserved for military training, will bring thousands of responders and potential new responders interested in Homeland Security right here to this college for many years to come. On Homeland Security, I see daily the challenges our nation faces. And while many, thankfully, just remain threats, many are real. We've seen these very real threats in recent years. Times Square, countless attempts to board planes with new explosive devices, Fort Hood. More frequently, we are learning of terrorist cells operating in cities throughout this nation. These instances remain only threats because of the vigilance of our intelligence and our responders. Thanks to them, we've been able to prevent any new attacks on our homeland since 9/11. But terrorists don't sleep. They get smarter, they evolve, and they think of new ways, and they are thinking of new ways to attack our nation on our soil every single day. That is why we also need to evolve. We need to be one step ahead of them. We need to train that new class of responders to recognize threats, act on them, and even in the worst of times, respond to them. This institute will serve that purpose, and responders who come here will learn how to manage these threats and work among the many federal, state, and local agencies tasked in handling these threats. By opening this first phase of the Institute, responders will no longer be confined to a classroom for training. This tactical village right here will be one of only a few available in our nation for our responders to learn from. It will provide a distinctive learning experience that just can't be matched by classroom training. This institute, the beginning of which we see here today, will make the College of DuPage not only the premier institute for homeland training in the Midwest, but soon throughout the entire United States. On my first day in Congress, at the very first hearing I held with Homeland Security, our chairman, Representative Peter King from New York, had placed in the back of the hearing room 2 large pictures of the Twin Towers aflame moments before they were to tumble. Those pictures were taken down 6 years before. The very first thing Chairman King did when he assumed the chairmanship of that committee was put those large pictures back up in the back of the hearing room so we would never, ever, ever forget. We shall never forget. And thanks to the College of DuPage, as all of us don't forget, we will ensure that those who are charged with protecting us will be prepared to protect us. Congratulations. Wow. Thank you.
Those of you who know me know that I have coveted all my life to one day, before I pass over to the other side, have a badge. I've felt that ever since I was growing up in Queens, New York. It has yet to happen, but I'm putting enormous pressure on all of the police chiefs and fire chiefs in the area to finally come in and anoint me with a badge. If he has multiple badges coming, I'm willing to wear a sash, as they often do in foreign countries. Speaking of the potential of a badge, I spoke earlier with the State Fire Marshal, Larry Giannoulias. Larry, you here? And he said he would work on my behalf for such a badge. Larry, stand up and let them see you, because if it doesn't happen, they'll know why it didn't happen. So as you know, we build this building for all the right reasons, and in the final analysis, it's all about teaching and learning and service to the community. And so we've asked today one of the end users, we refer to them, people who will actually be in this building, using this building, training first responders who are going out for the first time, or certainly training those who are coming back because there's protocol changes, strategy changes, equipment changes, and they need to be state-of-the-art in order to be able to protect and defend those of us who live in this great country. So we've asked one among them, Bill Lawler, who heads up our SLEA Academy, to spend a moment in sharing with you his thoughts on this facility. Bill?
My name is Bill Lawler. This is a great day to be the director of the Suburban Law Enforcement Academy. I was asked to talk to you today a little bit about our awesome new facility, but before I do that, I'd like to tell you a short story of how we arrived at today's events. In the early summer of 2009, I was summoned to a meeting with many of my COD colleagues and Dr. Bruder. The topic was to discuss the concept of building a new facility that would house SLEA, our criminal justice program, the fire science programs, and the College of DuPage Police. All of us at that meeting were introduced to the concept of educational specifications, or affectionately referred to as ed specs. I can translate that for you, chiefs. That's code word for planning. I was very accustomed to planning, but these ed specs were very, very detailed. There was no nonsense. There were clearly delineated goals, strict timelines, and get on it was the clear message. By July 2009, the ed specs were completed and submitted. I was then given a ticket to what I affectionately refer to as the Bruder Express. Again, the directions were clear. Get on board, fasten your safety belt, do your work, keep all hands and feet inside the vehicle at all times. The Express traveled at warp speed. Very few stops, hence the name Express. At times, we went through some dark tunnels. I'm certain that I heard some screaming. I think perhaps that was Alicia Yeager. I also heard some crying. I think that was perhaps some of our architects or maybe the power construction guys. But as you can clearly see, we arrived at our final destination today at this fantastic facility, and I'm here to report to you that the facility and all the members over here are ready, willing, and able to meet the training needs of all of our first responders. The concept of the building was to blend the needs of education and the needs of training, and Dr. Bruder, that mission was accomplished. So I'd like to personally thank you for having the vision and the plan to get this done. I was privileged to have a window seat on the Express and look forward to another journey, so thanks. SLEA went operational in our new Homeland Security Education Center on August 22nd. In the months and weeks that led up to that opening, I have shown several of you in attendance here today the artist renderings, the cool brochures, the blueprints, fancy slide presentations, but I was one of you. I'm looking at many of you out there. Because you're cops, most of you remain skeptical. By nature and training, you tend not to really believe something till you see it. So I've conducted several tours now and walkthroughs, and started with the recruit classrooms, the cyber labs, the mock courtroom, the auditorium, and pretty much the response was, yeah, you know, Bill, nice. But then we got to the 5,000 square foot mat room. And then some of you looked at me and uttered the word, wow. Then we found our way to the street scene and the surrounding rooms, the movable walls and doors, the closed stairwell, the ability to use the theater lighting to make it night or day or moonlight, vehicles inside on the street. I clearly heard wow. Our last recruit class utilized the street scene for the crimes in progress scenarios. There was a domestic right up in that apartment, a burglary behind me at the barber shop, a van parked right here with the burglary tools that were dropped on the street. You could hear the clang of the tools. There was a robbery over at the bank, a civil dispute here at our make-believe 7-Eleven gas station. And for those of you that are over there near the sidewalk by the pharmacy, don't panic. Perhaps you'll see some stage blood over there. That was some stains. That was a scene of a shooting that occurred over there. I can tell you that the recruits were instantly wowed. Our instructors and role players were totally wowed. This continued to be the reaction even up to last week. A fire engine was parked right here, Senator, right where you are. They got out the hose, hooked it up to the fire hydrant, pressurized it, and the firemen were spraying water all over here. A ladder was up to this apartment. A firefighter in his gear simulating the rescue of a person. This cream shop back there was filled with theatrical smoke pouring out of those windows. My secretary came down there. She was wowed. She couldn't see me. She kept telling me that, but all the firefighters assembled on the street out here and had only one reaction, wow. When we got outside to look at the training tower, all the first responders could clearly envision the necessary props, the ability to rappel, the ability to use smoke, flashbangs, all of them asking me if we were getting the breaching doors to practice the dynamic entries. Me again asking, well, what do you think? Wow, wow was the reply. So when I was asked to talk today about the new building, I looked up wow. The dictionary says wow, used in expressing wonderment, amazement, and an outstanding success. So when you leave here today and are asked to describe our facilities to your colleagues, I really think the correct word that you can use to describe it is, in fact, wow. Respected training colleagues have always told me that the more realistic the environment, the more likely a student in training will retain the learning from the experience, and most important, can use those learned skills when they are required to perform in the real world. So what does using this facility mean? It means using realistic props in the appropriate setting, which will keep our first responders, fire or police, focused on the training situation rather than trying to imagine things that may or may not be there. It means learning how to function at peak performance during critical situations, but in the safety of our controlled environment. It means using real weapons equipped with lasers that operate with our cubic system, providing instant feedback on shots that were fired. Bad guys shoot back at the police. Audio and video recording of all this activity. All data captured can be used for our after-action analysis. the ability to live stream the action to the Emergency Operations Center or the auditorium, as we're doing right now as I speak. After you go to the tape in the after-action reviews, new words never spoken will come from this room. I can't believe I did that. The cops get that one. They know what I'm talking about. It means that we will be only limited by our imagination and the correct props to set up real-world training scenarios. It means that we will provide the best training to all first responders who attend the training in our facility. It means that they will be able to be the most qualified first responders to respond to any crisis in your communities. Most of you are familiar with an ABC show, Extreme Home Makeover. The premise of the show is to build a new structure to replace a home which is not adequate to support the activities of a family. In other words, the environment just doesn't meet their needs. At the end of the show, the host has a closing line as he moves a large bus to reveal the new home. He says, "Welcome home, Smith family. Welcome home, Jones family. Welcome home." So I'll close today borrowing that line from Ty Pennington. Welcome to your new training home, first responders. Welcome home.
So I'm sitting there with David, and Mary Ann comes in and she hands David a note, and I assume it was to be handed to me, and here's the note. It says, "Glen Ellen firefighters were watching upstairs, apologized they had to go on a call." Is that not appropriate? So thank you, Congressman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Bill, a colleague, one of many that I have here, for your very generous remarks. I should like to take a moment now to introduce the people who really made this happen, next to all of the taxpayers in the district, which I want to recognize toward the end. I'm going to ask them to stand and to be recognized as a group. So if you could just hold the applause. You didn't do it the last time when I asked you. So if you could just, when you see them coming together like that, just go like that and hold off, because I have lots of names. My mother always said, what, many hands make work light, or something along that line. Well, these are the people that bring this building to you today. The architect in record here, Leggett Architects, representing them today, Joe Leggett, Jeff Sharansky, Patrick Brosman, Jay Johnson, who is their on-site representative, Zachary Weiss, Brian Archibald, and Jackie Petrusius. And then contracted with them, meaning they're consultants to Leggett Architects, Tactical Design, Leonard and Michael Enns. Brubaker Designs, the brilliant person behind the design, Steve Brubaker. V3 Engineering, George Schober. And JJR, the landscape genius, Randy Michalski. So if we can recognize them, then I'll bring up the next group. Thank you. And so the architect designs what we give them. Earlier, Bill told you about the ed specs. That's quite a document. It's multiple 100 pages long. Every square inch of this building had to be looked at in their mind and put on paper. So they had to deal 110, 220, what kind of floor, what kind of ceilings, what kind of windows, what kind of lighting. Do you want water, hot water, cold water? Do you want mist? Do you want fog? Do you want dark? Do you want canopies? You have to specify it all, because in the end, the architect designs the building that the end user specifies. So it begins with us and ultimately ends with us, because we receive the product of their work. So after Leggett Architects does the design and goes through the whole process, we bring in early in the game the construction management firms, so we can benefit from their construction experience, because they're out there in the world. They know what's going on. They know what materials are being used. They know where the best cost-benefit ratio is. And so we were pleased to have work with us, Power Construction. Permit me to introduce their team. Alvin Gorman, who is the chairman of the board, Ken Gorman, his son, Terry Graber, Jeff Karp, Dwight Blake, Tyler Lamke, Marianne Lukowitz, Kevin Tattersall, and the guy who I'll speak to in a moment, Tom Morris. Tom, stand up. He's someplace between Attila the Hun and Mother Teresa. You have to see this guy work on a construction job. Never have I seen somebody diplomatically as he does run through a project as complicated as. So that's power construction. Thank you. There are other members of the team, and they come from within the institution, and the two most consequential is Margaret Thatcher. That's not really her name. It really is Alicia Yeager. Stand up, Alicia. I do refer to her as Margaret Thatcher. She is the Iron Lady who gets it done on time, according to specifications and within budget, and John Wondolowski, her partner. So they supervise the construction from our point. And then, as referenced to you earlier, we produced these ed specs. That's a team of people, and I'll ask them to stand as well. Tom Cameron, who's the dean in the area, who chaired the committee, along with Theo Darden, Mark Fazzini, our chief of police, Daryl Hefner, and Bill Lawler. Would you all stand and be recognized? And if that isn't enough, we have a support team at the college that also checks in on this. Joe Collins, if you'd stand, Chuck Courier, Ron Dolciak, Tom Glazer, Angela Noble, Chris Cornsey, Peggy Lindstrom, and Noel Mirigliata. If you'd all stand and be recognized. So those are the people who built this building, some 65,000 gross square feet, built at a cost of $25 million, here to stand a lifetime to be able to train first responders and to keep us safe. If I've missed anybody, I apologize for that. Come and tell me that, because the next time I do this, I intend to make sure that I don't miss you a second time. By the way, as we were finishing up this building, I remember one of the sessions someplace in the building, and Jay brought to me the signs. I get into sometimes the minutia of a project. And so they brought me the signs, and they wanted to know how I felt about them. And lo and behold, I saw one that had Taylor on it. What you may not know is I was born seemingly 100 years ago in Queens, New York. My dad was a tailor. He came over from the old country, met my mother in Central Park. She used to cook for an actress back then named Sophie Tucker. And as we were visiting, I said, "Oh, you have a tailor shop?" And I said, "God, wouldn't it be nice someday before I pass to the other side with my badge, if my dad's name could eventually appear on that window?" And so that is my dad, right there. His name is Ludwig. He was a tailor. My mom was then a seamstress. They worked in this little shop downstairs from the tenement building that I was born and raised in Queens, New York. So that makes me feel good. But it also is tribute to them, because they would pick up on a remark like that and allow me to be honored by way of my father. So that means a great deal. I would tell you, by the way, the hours are not right. My father went down 5 o'clock in the morning, didn't come up till 7 o'clock at night. He didn't know that Saturday was different than Monday through Friday. He did take Sunday off, but I'm thinking he was sewing upstairs anyway to make a couple extra bucks to make the numbers come together at the end of the month. And so we have yet another special guest, and I should like him to be recognized as well. Ask him to stand so that I can, not intentionally, fully embarrass him in front of you, because he has an illustrious background that all of us wish we had. I'm pleased to recommend the Honorable Judge William J. Bauer. Judge, if you'd stand, please, of the 7th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals. Judge. The mock courtroom and auditorium has been named after Judge Bauer in honor of his contributions to the legal community during his 46 years on the bench. As many, incredible. I thought I was long-lived at 43. As many of you know, Judge Bauer is the former state's attorney of DuPage County. He was elected judge of the Circuit Court for the 18th Judicial Circuit, was appointed U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois, and then appointed judge of the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Illinois. On December 11, 1974, President Gerald R. Ford appointed Judge Bauer to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 7th Circuit. He served as chief judge from 1986 to 1993 and still maintains an active caseload. I had the privilege of meeting the judge about 6 months ago while we were in construction. I approached him to allow us to be able to honor him by putting his name in the courtroom to show everyone the tremendous service that he has provided as a jurist in this area. I'm privileged to know you, and we thank you for giving us your name and allowing us to use it and to demonstrate to people our true conviction to the law of this country. Thank you, Judge. And so I have yet another opportunity today, and I thought this was an appropriate place to do it. Last week, we recognized one of our great state senators, Kirk Dillard. We had a golf outing last week. Everybody has a golf outing. It's one way to raise money for our scholarships for our kids, and we raised $123,000, so we had a great day. I personally had a lousy day. I don't know that they ever used my ball one time in the 18 holes. Hell, I couldn't find my ball after the second hole, so I'm not really a golfer. But I wanted to recognize Kirk Dillard, and we did, and he was given for the first time what we call the Presidential Award for service on behalf of College of DuPage. He was able to craft a letter on our behalf, garner the support of all members of our legislative delegation, go down to Springfield, meet with Governor Quinn, and ask him for $25 million in a capital appropriation that had been earmarked for us for years, but unfortunately, because of state conditions, didn't allow the money to flow. So the senator, along with some of his compatriots, went down there, and I'm here to tell you that some weeks later, we were notified that the first down payment on that $25 million was forthcoming, or $5 million, which we will use now to build yet another building on campus, a general services building, which requires a match, but fortunately you have given us that money and we can build that building. And so who is this other person? His name is John Milner, my very good friend. And John, if you'd come up here for a moment. Kirk would tell you that in his quest with the governor, it was sort of like a tag team, and John was there with him, making every effort to convince our governor, who is challenged to be able to make the numbers work, to release this money on our behalf, and in fact, you know that that was accomplished. Towards the end of the legislative session, we were in a situation. We needed a liquor license for the entire college. Now, we're not boozers, but we do teach a culinary program here that's very extensive, and alcohol, wine, and spirits is an integral part of fine dining. Plus, we have many other events during the course of the year. And rather than to constantly go through the process of going local with the municipal government, we wanted to get a blanket coverage from the state of Illinois. And so Scott Markwood, our lobbyist, approached John and said, we need to get COD, a liquor license. Well, John, knowing that I like my wine, knew that he wasn't going to disappoint me, and he managed to get that bill through both houses in less than 5 days and on the desk of the governor, who ultimately signed it into law. That's John Milner. That's why we're able to go to him. That's why when I was privileged to sit in his seat in Springfield, he said to me one day as he was leaving, Bob, use me. And in fact, we've used him often, and so today we want him to be the second recipient of the President's Leadership Medal. John?
Well, Bill, wow. I don't know what to say. Just thank you. Thank the college. Thank you. I am here for you for another year. Use me. And now that you got a politician up here in front of you right now, I'd actually like to say a couple of things about this building. You know, as I was watching this, I heard my friend Alexi Giannoulias use the word incredible. It's incredible. And then I heard Congressman Walsh and Bill say the word wow. But you know what this is really about? This is about first responders. This is about the security of our families. And this is about the safety of our communities. That's what this is. And if you recall, I'll share a little story with you. 10 years ago, I was the police chief for the city of Elmhurst during 9/11. I was also president of the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police. And that morning when we got up, I got a phone call saying, hey, this is going on. We might be under attack right now. And as I was looking, I was talking to the superintendent of police in Chicago and the director of state police. And at that time, when I was on the phone with them, while we were under attack, there was an airplane, they thought, headed from Indianapolis to the Sears Tower. It was a mistake, but we didn't know. And then the conversations that were going on, I want you to think about this. Law enforcement had communications. Fire had their own communications. We heard about trucking companies being notified by the FBI about what to look for that law enforcement wasn't even told. So, time goes on, the 9/11 report comes out and uses the word lack of imagination. The critics said lack of imagination. Folks, look at this. There is no lack of imagination. This you all need to be commended for, everyone who worked on this project. This is incredible. This is a wow. Thank you so much for the award. I don't know what else to say. Thank you so much.
So just as John said to me, use me, so do I look out among you today and all those who can't be here today, those of you in public service, those of you who are first responders, and say to you, use us. You made this possible by way of a referendum that you approved 10 years ago. This isn't being built, or this wasn't built using new bond money that you voted to support us with last fall, but rather money that you made available to us 10 years ago that we saved right to the end for when we found that project that we knew would be absolutely right for College of DuPage and right for this community, we would launch it. And so you have made this possible. We thank you as taxpayers, and we again implore all of you in uniform, all of you in public service, this is your building. You should use it. We hope that you use it. John, I wonder if I could ask you to come back up again and to retire the colors.
Would everyone please stand as we now retire the colors. I'd like to thank the Aurora Police and Fire Departments for the presentations of colors. You may all sit down.
Just when you thought it was all over, it isn't. I now invite you to Memorial Hall, which you'll be going out this way and proceeding this way, where there'll be the unveiling of the memorial. You know that we have a piece of steel that was given to us by the New York Port Authority that was made possible through the efforts of our own police chief, and they will unveil that shortly when we get there. Understand that there may be compressed space, so the William J. Bauer Auditorium mock classroom is open, and there's full media presentation in there for those of you that can't get close enough to the unveiling of this beautiful tribute to people who served on our behalf. May I ask you to stand and let us have a moment of silence in honor of those who lost their lives on 9/11? Thank you, and let us remember those lost and acknowledge others who have stepped up to take their places. Thank you. And so I invite you now to move in that direction where there'll be refreshments and the unveiling of the memorial. Thank you for coming. Now, when you were growing up, if you dropped the ball, would you just kind of like try to circumnavigate it, or would you just admit that you dropped the ball and you have to make up for it? What would you do? That's my wife. She said circumnavigate it, but I'm not that way. One of the things that I should have done in the street scene is to bring up the Board of Trustees. That's lethal to make that mistake, and do the unveiling of the plaque that will go in this building. So here we have it. This is the plaque. If somebody could take this off, I think you've met the entire board earlier. So if we could just take it off, this is the plaque that will go in this building, as all new buildings have plaques. And so now the unveiling of this memorial. Everybody now knows about 9/11. Some weeks ago, most of us watched a lot of television and had an opportunity to go back in time and to relive that period that most of us, all of us, wish would have never happened. But it did, and we learn from it, and we move on. We were able to contact the Port Authority, share with them the vision that we had for Homeland Security here in the Midwest suburbs, and ask them if they would be willing to give us a piece of the steel from the Twin Towers. That really, the person who was the point person on our behalf was Mark Fazzini. And so I'm grateful to Mark for having led that on our behalf. Today we have a number of people who have worked with us very closely in helping to bring this building to fruition. I would like to introduce them to you, and then there'll be the unveiling of the steel. Certainly, College of DuPage Police Chief Mark Fazzini. Mark. City of Wheaton Fire Chief Gregory Burke and Police Chief Mark Field. Village of Glen Ellen Fire Chief Pete Campbell. And someone that we didn't expect, someone who came in from Washington, who was at the Pentagon when that plane hit there, and that is Lieutenant Colonel Giannoulias, retired Army, and a survivor of 9/11. Colonel. And so, gentlemen, if you would unveil the memorial, we would be grateful. And you'll notice the way the steel is displayed, that we want it to be interactive with the public. We will eventually put a stainless steel guardrail close to it so people who have impaired vision and other circumstances like that don't inadvertently walk into it. But this is to be approached, it's to be touched, it's to be remembered, because it is a part of our history. A tragic day, but something, again, that we'll learn from and we will move forward. I thought the scripture that was chosen up there was absolutely perfect. These acts shatter steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve. Of course, that was stated by President Bush at the time. There are, as you can see, pictorials here that have descriptions about 9/11. 20, 30, 40 years from now, it's not going to always be on the tips of someone's tongue. And so there'll be many exhibits like this prepared here so that all of us can remember. I want to thank you all for coming, invite you to stay for refreshments. Make one more introduction if I can. The guy who laid the groundwork for me a few years ago, the second president of the College of DuPage, Hal Macknick. Hal, nice to have you here. And his wife, Carol. So if I've missed anybody, I apologize. Please stay, enjoy the building, share in the food, and know full well that we appreciate what you do for us and understand that we will continue to serve you to the best of our ability. Thank you.